Hi folks, we're here today to unbox and set up your new dual CS460 turntable. The setup procedure will be much the same on other models of dual as well, by the way. It's still made in Germany, in the Black Forest. The Dual brand is one of the oldest turntable manufacturers in the world, and we're proud to represent them here in Canada. In fact, let's start with the basics. When you first open that box, you're going to find dust cover first, turntable just below that, covered in a styrofoam sheet, platter and anti-static mat, the hinges for the dust cover, if you don't recognize what those are for, the actual counterweight for the back of the tone arm that'll help us balance it, and a 45 adapter should we wish to play 45s. First things first, let's carefully remove these two little red clips. They just slide out, no need to get out any tools at all. There's just the two of them. Set those aside for transport in the future and for the event that you need to ever send it in for service. In fact, at this point, we're ready to put the platter on. It just slides into place. Little clip at the bottom here that just grabs the spindle. The anti-static mat drops into place. We're basically done that part now. Let's set up the tone arm. What we're going to do is take this counterweight. It threads on clockwise. As you gently push forward, it'll grab and start to turn and move forward. When I begin to see, about 1/8 of an inch of the tone arm wand itself protruding from the back, I'm close to where it's going to balance. So I've released the tone arm from its clip, and you see it kind of floating like that. I'm going to remove the stylus guard, which just pulls forward away from the stylus. I'm going to save that. That's going to be useful later should I wish to dust my turntable or I take a cleaning cloth to it. I want to snag that stylus tip and cost myself some money. Now, with it unclipped from the rest, I'm going to move in very small increments by rotating the counterweight forward and back until I see the tone arm float, which would indicate that there's no stylus pressure at this point. It's just floating in a balanced position. I'll clip it back in place. And now, using the dial at the side here and the little marker just here at my fingertip, I'm going to dial it up to 1.5 grams. I'm then going to match that using the bias adjustment, which is the ring that surrounds the base of the tone arm, at 1.5, which helps center the stylus in the record groove. At that point, I'm just about ready to play records. Let's do a couple more things here. Let's mount our dust cover. Nice to have that in place before we get going. These clips just go into their receiving point here at the back of the turntable. Dust cover will slide in. Again, still no tools required for any of this, folks. Just check that for fit. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, at this point, I can actually plug the turntable into the phono section on the back of my amplifier or receiver, and I could plug in the AC adapter so that I'll have power. I didn't have this plugged in earlier because I don't want it to rotate while I'm making these adjustments. Now, when you go to plug a turntable into your amplifier or receiver, if you have a designated phono input on the back of your amplifier, which isn't necessarily a given, it happens more often on 2-channel pieces of gear than it does on multi-channel, you're basically ready to go because it takes a dedicated phono input for a turntable to play correctly. It will not sound like music if you try and plug it into any line level input. Outboard phono sections can be purchased for very modest dollars all the way through to extremely high performance depending on the level of stereo system that you're putting together for yourself. At this point, we are ready to play a record. I'm going to unclip the arm from its rest. And I'll take this very fine Japanese pressing here, handling the record only by the edges, of course. Start, and we're almost at music. And there we have it. Thanks very much for joining us today, folks. I hope you learned a little about your new dual CS460 and how to set it up correctly. Enjoy your music.